the Maccabees Revolt has inspired many people throughout the years. In 166 BCE, a small group of Jewish rebels managed to defeat the Seleucid Empire and establish a Jewish state in the Holy Land. The Book of Maccabees mentions 8 battles. Some of them took place in the famous Ayalon Valley, about midway between modern Jerusalem and Tel Aviv.
The place where we stand is exactly in the midst between the coastline to Jerusalem mountains, and that is the area that was always ideal for many armies to cross on the way. In the book of Joshua, it says that Joshua commands the sun and the moon to stop and refers to the valley of Ayalon, which is right over here. This is where we stand. In the story of Maccabees, the third battle holds supposedly over here in the highest place of this park.
One of the most famous battles of the Maccabees was the Battle of Emmaus, about 20 kilometers west of Jerusalem. It's a site also mentioned in the New Testament as the place where Jesus reappeared after his resurrection.
So we're standing on a high hill that views Emmaus, which is down below on the main road that we can see behind me, and that's the place where the Seleucid camped. Since this is the foothills of the Judean hills and a great strategical point. At the same time, the army of Judah the Maccabee is based or camps himself up in a place called Mitzpah, where is nowadays recognized to be the tradition of Samuel the prophet's tomb. Anyway, between those, the Seleucid army, one of the strongest armies in the history of the Middle East ever, decides to strike the camp by coming surprisingly to the army of Judah the Maccabee, who is already prepared. It says in the book of Maccabees that a day before that, the entire Maccabee camp is fasts and prays and motivates for that, just like the biblical days, and secretly during the same night comes to strike down the Seleucid army, who apparently is unprepared. It's a great victory. It's the third victorious battle in a row.
Khurvat Aked, overlooking the city of Modi'in near the Ayalon Valley, is another key location in the story of the Maccabees.
We can view right behind the city of Modi'in, the modern city of Modi'in. However, in the book of Maccabees, it is mentioned that the Hasmonean family of Matityahu and his 5 children is coming from a town called Modi'in. Obviously, there's a connection between the two. There is also an Arab village that kept the name called Midia. In the early 20th century, based on earlier tradition, it is to be recognized that the tombs of the Maccabees is also not too far away from the city of Modi'in, as well as many coins that goes back to the Hellenist period.
Some of the finds here are associated with the villain of the Maccabees Revolt, Seleucid commander Macridis.
The main thing that was found here are remnants of a fortress, some fortified walls, guardian towers, some coins that goes back all the way to the Hellenist period. And based on what it says in the book of Maccabees, it might very much be, at least according to some theories, that this was the fortress of the Seleucid general called Macridis. According to the book of Maccabees, it says that Macridis, the Seleucid general who fought against the Maccabees in the year 161 BCE, that is the place where he was based.
The Book of Maccabees mentions the death of the Maccabees leader Judah in the final battle of Elasah in 160. When Judah saw that Macridis and his main force of the Syrian army was on the right, all his bravest men joined him, and they crushed the Syrians' right wing. They pursued them as far as the foothills, but when the Syrians on the left wing saw that their right wing had been crushed, they turned to attack Judah and his men from the rear. The fighting became very fierce, and many on both sides were killed. Finally, Judah himself was killed. Then all his men fled. Jonathan and Simon took their brother's body and buried it in the family tomb at Modi'in. And there at the tomb they wept for him. All of Israel mourned him in great sorrow for many days. They said, "It can't be. The mighty hero and savior of Israel has been killed." But despite the Maccabees' defeat, the Hasmoneans continued to rule the land of Israel for dozens of years. It was the last Jewish regime in the Holy Land until the formation of Israel in 1948.